You know what? This is just falling apart. This is a complete disaster. I don't even know why I'm doing this. Why am I recording this? This is an absolute mess. So I figured, like, real quick, I'd just give you guys like a bit of a desk tour. So this is my setup for basically everyday stuff. I do writing and also record my videos here. There's my MacBook Pro with all my stickers on it, which is pretty awesome. That's hooked up to these two displays, which I have an Apple Studio display and an HP portrait display as well. Works really great for writing because as you can see, like, you can get that full nice large screen there, and then over here I can have like a nice like immersive writing session, or I'm also a big fan of those study with me videos, so I'll usually watch those also while I'm doing it. For actual work, I do have my regular keyboard that I use with my computer, but this old Apple extended keyboard actually does a really good job in just being very tactile, and it's raised a little bit more, so especially if you're writing for long periods of time, it feels a lot better. Where you won't feel like you're constantly clicking right, clicking down, which also isn't great for your hands. And I got my mouse and my iPad Pro, which is at this point acting as a clock. I also do a fair bit of art on there too. So this is my Apple Pencil. And for afterwards, when I need a little bit of a break and play some video games with my USB Sega Saturn controller. But yeah, that's my desk. Hey everybody, welcome. This is my week 1 recap of NaNoWriMo. So this video is a little different than what I had initially planned. So one of the things that I, as a new / returning / whatever you want to call it, content creator, that I'm going to have to relearn is to actively be filming as I'm doing things. So initially, this was supposed to be kind of a showcase what I do process kind of thing. And unfortunately, I just did not film a lot of that. Some of it was just in the times that I was writing. I just didn't have my camera with me. I remember there was one time I took my camera, but the battery was dead. Actually, this is a pretty good camera. It's even better when you remember the battery. What it got me thinking of, though, was that instead of just sort of like a regular vlog, I can kind of share some things and make it useful. Like I hope my first video was with y'all. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Hey guys, so it's like 7 in the morning, just waiting for my coffee, and I'm gonna start writing here on day 3, or what day is it? What day is today? November 4th. November 5th. The first couple days have been pretty interesting. I've been able to get some writing done, which is good. I've not written every day, which is kind of a bummer because I usually start out the gate a lot better, but I have today off, so I'm kind of hoping that this will allow me to be able to get a ton of writing in today. That's why I'm up at 7 a.m. It's very clear that if I am going to hit the 50K word goal this time, I'm going to need to write quite a bit more on my days off than I'm used to. I do still feel confident about it though, because day one, I got in just about 2,200 words, which is much more than I have done previously in a day. So, and that day, November 1st, I had only blocked out like 3 hours, which is pretty awesome. So it is a lot faster than it has previously been. So what I'm hoping is that I have a lot of hours blocked today, and hopefully I'll be able to get a ton of writing in. So yeah, I'll see you at my desk. All right, so I have some coffee, which is excellent. So something else too, when I'm like getting started writing and that kind of stuff, I usually like to do some writing exercises, and one that's been really helpful is kind of going through, doing some quizzes out of this book. This book is called What Would Your Character Do? It's basically personality quizzes for analyzing your characters. Even after I make my character, I actually will still go through this book and like kind of quiz or interview my characters around that, so that way I can kind of get a bigger, like larger sense of that character, even as I'm writing. Like even right now in NaNoWriMo, I've been able to find some very interesting things about my characters since I've started writing. When you enter that flow state, I find that your characters kind of come to life, typically. So as long as you're keeping that in mind, this book kind of allows you to get into your character's mind a little bit, so that way you can write from their voice. And sometimes what can be difficult is when you're writing, especially multiple characters, and from a third person omnipresent point of view, you don't want to write too much from your own perspective. You want to try and write the characters as they would actively do something. So first, in order to do that, you have to know them. So that tip helps a lot. So I would highly encourage that. This is a great book, by the way. I got it off of Amazon like several years ago. Actually, no, this is a Barnes & Noble purchase. My bad. Yeah, Barnes & Noble. Brick and mortar store. Do any of y'all miss Borders? I know that's kind of a random question, but I don't mind Barnes & Noble. It's a nice spot, and it's nice to be able to kind of like get in, like go find a book, all that kind of stuff. And especially now, like as a K-pop listener, like being able to get albums from local Barnes & Noble as well is pretty awesome. But I really missed Borders. I feel like Borders just was kind of more of like had a different vibe to it. Let me know if you agree with that down in the comments. So this first week of NaNoWriMo, it had a lot of ups and downs. The first couple of days did actually really, really well. I hit my word count goal on the first 2 days. And then November 3rd and November 4th, I didn't write anything. Or the things that I did write, I ended up getting rid of. So right now, word count wise, I have just over 4,000 words. And so this is November 5th. So I guess traditionally, if you're counting the Win Nano
I am behind by a couple thousand words, which is okay. I'll be able to catch up. So kind of instead of doing a normal vlog, I kind of wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to talk a little bit about nurturing your mind. I took part in a training earlier by author Abby Emmons, who's on YouTube, fantastic booktuber, has a lot of great tip videos, highly recommended. And she was talking about success during NaNoWriMo. So during this training, one of the things she brought up was you can't pour creativity into a project if you're not pouring something into yourself. And I think sometimes as creatives, we can sometimes miss that. I know for myself, particularly around writing the first draft, it's very difficult to not let that perfectionism virus come in and affect your work. I actually think that's one of the reasons why day 1 and day 2 were actually very easy to write, and day 3 and 4 were not. Basically, day 1, I was kind of just allowing myself to create. Like, I didn't have any blocks in the way. I didn't have anything that was causing any distrust in my words, distrust in my process. But days 3 and 4 were different. And it became very difficult to get into my flow state, as I was talking about previously. And without being able to get into flow state, it made writing almost impossible. So today, for this kind of recap of the first week, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about getting out of your own head. I was doing some writing this morning, which was good because I was able to get back into the flow state again this morning. But as I was taking a break, I spent some time just kind of watching some YouTube videos. Particularly around, I was watching a playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2, which is one of my favorite video games, and I'll probably talk about that at some point. But kind of one of the takeaways of as I was sort of watching it is that as silly and goofy as that story was sometimes, and even with the sort of cringy dialogue in some moments.
Do you really think that the professor created him, Shadow, to carry out the revenge on all those who live here on Earth?
He was what he was, a brave and heroic hedgehog who gave his life to save this planet. Shadow the Hedgehog.
I guess you're right.
As a child, I looked up to my grandfather because of all the great things he accomplished in his life. He was my hero, and I wanted to be a great scientist like him. But did he really mean to destroy us?
I don't know, but what I do know is we all did it together!
You're right.
When I think about how monumentally iconic that game is for me, I don't remember a lot of the cringy things. I don't remember it as cringy. I just remember the experience of going through it. And I think that's true for any creative work. Like the first time you watch a movie, or the first time you read a book, or the first time you read a comic or play a game, or honestly whatever it is. It was a relatively simple story and didn't have to be super grand and verbose and all that stuff. But I found like once I watched that, I was able to kind of just get back into the mood of just writing just for fun. Which in the first draft process, you kind of have to do. The first draft is really more about you kind of discovering the story than anybody else. For some of us are really detailed planners where you'll have a really detailed outline of what you want to do beforehand. Some of us are, I do no planning, I do no research, I just jump in and I start writing. And then there's people like myself that I will plan some stuff out. So before this, like I said, Preptober, I did a lot of preparation. I came up with characters, I got to know the characters, I came up with some plot ideas. But as I was writing, I noticed that organically things would just shift. And it made better writing sense for me to just kind of let the story tell itself and be very organic. So what does all this mean? The first thing is that you can't pour into a cup if you're empty. So one thing too about days 3 and 4 was I was at work and they were pretty busy days. They were long days. So getting into a very creative space afterwards, it was pretty difficult. And it's one of the reasons why even the stuff I wrote on those days ended up being just like, go right in the trash. I also find that with a job that is more results focused, it can be very difficult to turn that perfectionism piece off in a role where you're expected to be very results driven versus in creativity where the results come after all the work is done. There's practically no results that show up during the process, outside of just the joy of writing and the joy of kind of getting to know the world and getting to know the characters. So that shift is very difficult sometimes. And that's where I found some of the tips from the last video that I posted on the second to actually be very helpful in talking about, hey, you gotta get into the mindset, create the mood, all that good stuff. Physician, heal thyself was a thing that kind of came up during that process. So one of the things is that I kind of needed to build up that creative energy. Today, that was just during my writing break as I was eating breakfast and getting some coffee, was just watching a portion of that playthrough of Sonic Adventure 2. And that was helpful because I kind of realized that even in a finished product, there's going to be things that, maybe will come across cringy later on. But when I think about how when you're going through it and it's something that you really enjoy, you kind of miss some of the little things that sort of trip up people. So in a lot of ways, this week was really kind of about dealing with some of those perfectionist tendencies and kind of getting them out of the way. So the idea is that in order to make sure that I can continue to write, the whole draw is that I have to be able to shift out of those two different settings. In work, being in that very results-driven environment, to in the creative space, being about enjoying this world, enjoying these characters, all that good stuff. In a way, the writing goal with the word count almost creates a sort of results-driven feeling in that creative space. So in a lot of ways, in this, I probably will not be doing nearly as much tracking of how many words I'm writing, at least definitely not while I'm writing them. I think the fun thing that I really enjoy about NaNoWriMo so far is actually just the community around it. There's been quite a few different streams that I've had the chance to take part in over the last week. the live training that I was just talking about that just ended a little while ago. There's another stream coming up later this evening. And everyone's kind of out and just kind of doing things. So I think the community piece is very, very helpful. And maybe just for me, the word count piece will be a focus later on, where after all the writing's done for the day, I can sort of be like, hey, where did I land? Nice, excellent. And I just post that up. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at least so far in this first week. Today is the 5th, so we still got 25 more days. So I guess we'll kind of see what happens with the writing. Like I said, I'm going to keep you guys updated throughout the month of November. Each week on Sunday, I'll be posting up a vlog on this channel here, where you'll be able to kind of hear about my experience throughout the week. It'll probably be more of like a recap kind of thing. And I'll try to intermix in footage from earlier during the week as well. Hopefully there will be more of that this week. Hopefully I'll do basic things like remembering to charge my camera battery, or remembering to bring the camera with me, period. But yeah, I also have some other tip videos that'll be coming up probably at some point this week. I noticed a lot of people asking questions about world building during some of the streams and during some of the live training that I was taking part in this week. So I might actually do a tip video on that, sort of about how do you build a world and that kind of thing. Having published that fantasy novel a while back really helped with that, being a fan of role-playing games and that kind of stuff. The world building piece is typically very important in those scenarios. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this video was informative or useful for you, or entertaining at the least. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to get a notification when the channel gets new videos. Again, this channel is all about helping people tell their stories through creativity. And I'm doing that by sharing my journey as a digital creator and author and writer. And I guess in this case, content creator, YouTuber, all that good stuff. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. Do you ever have a moment where you were talking about something and you feel like you were going to make a point and it was going to be interesting, but the thought completely left your head and now you're just talking to the camera and you're not actually saying anything? That happens to me sometimes.
What was I talking about? I'm barely awake at this point.